follow Ramani's blog on YouTube. You may also my blog, Ramani's blog, www.ramanisblog.in for authentic ancient Indian history and Sanatana Dharma practices, and you can also follow my podcast in Anchor, www.anchor.fm Ramani's podcast. Please subscribe this channel and share it with your friends.
It is curious to know that the history of Arabia before the advent of Prophet Muhammad is blank. The Pre Prophet Arabian history is summed up in the statement that the Arabs are nomads, warring tribes, and worshipped pagans. Islam history records that Muhammad, after his return from Medina, destroyed 360 idols in Kaaba. This was done with the help of 7 allies with whom Muhammad formed an alliance, and these people were tribal chiefs. The early unruly warring tribes of Arabia were subjugated by King Vikramaditya of India in 100 BC. He established Hindu Dharma and laid the foundation of Sanatana Dharma in Arabia. Along with other idols, he also installed a Shiva Linga in Kaaba. It is believed that Jats from India were entrusted with the protection of the Kaaba temple, and they also doubled up as physicians. Quote, it is mentioned in the Abades, that is the authentic traditions of Prophet Muhammad compiled by Imam Bukhari, and that the Indian tribe of Jats had settled in Arabia before Prophet Muhammad's times. Once, when Hazrat Aisha, wife of the Prophet, was taken ill, her nephew sent for a Jat physician for her treatment. This proves that the Indians enjoyed a high and esteemed status in Arabia. Such a status could not be theirs unless they were the rulers. Bukhari also tells us that as an Indian king sent a jar of ginger pickles to the Prophet, this shows that the Indian Jat Raja ruled an adjacent area, so that to be in a position to send such an insignificant present as ginger pickles. The Prophet is said to have highly relished it, as to have told his colleagues also to partake of it. These references show that even during Prophet Muhammad's times, Indians retained their influential role in Arabia, which was a dwindling legacy from Vikramaditya's times. Unquote. There is yet another evidence that priests were sent from Kerala by King Sheraman Perumal Nayanar to perform pujas in the Kaaba temple. He was a contemporary of the Prophet. As a matter of fact, this is the only solid historical evidence from external sources for the existence of Prophet as far as my research is concerned. Ibn Battuta accounts say that Calicut King Sheraman Perumal had a head priest come accounts in charge of Shiva temple, called the pagan temple by the west at Mecca, which was watering oasis for the camel en route to Jerusalem and Petra. For whatever reason, the disturbed king decided to make a trip to Mecca as soon as he heard that Muhammad founded Islam and installed a black stone on the southeastern corner of the Kaaba. He took a ship from Calicut to Salalah, and from there went by caravan route to Mecca. He met Muhammad, and the Islamic grapevine says that he was impressed by Islam and got converted from Hinduism to Islam. The king's court at Calicut does not record this conversation, though messages were sent fast by carrier pigeons and hawks. The Encyclopedia Islamia admits that as much when it says Muhammad's grandfather and uncles were hereditary priests of Kaaba temple, which housed 360 Vedic idols. The Encyclopedia Britannica records this too. The source of this information that the Britannica recorded is from Captain Ajit Vadakai's post. That the king was converted to Islam is not corroborated. The Vedic practices in Kaaba that are observed even today. Kaaba, number one, Kaaba doors open at Pradosha time between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. Number two, the perambulation in the anti-clockwise direction around Kaaba is the Hindu practice of perambulating Shiva in the anti-clockwise direction during Pradosha, the sacred day to worship Shiva. 3. Shiva Linga after Abhisheka, that is bathing the deity, is dried slightly by applying silk cloth. One of the Pakistani sound engineers quotes Ajit Vodakail, who had done religious duties in Kandahar and in Iran for many years, told me that every time he went to Mecca, his friends and relatives would give him dozens of silk handkerchiefs to rub on the black stone. And every time he spent some time hurriedly doing that, he would get whipped quite severely by someone who was paid to do this, says Captain Ajit Vodakail. 4. In Hinduism, deities are to be worshipped by wearing unstitched cloth dhoti. The Muslim garment worn in Kaaba is without stitches. Quote, as the pilgrim proceeds towards Mecca, he is asked to shave his head and beard and to don special sacred attire that consists of two seamless sheets of white cloth. One is to be worn around the waist and the other over the shoulders. Both these rites are reminders of the old Vedic practice of entering Hindu temples clean and with holy single white sheets. Number five, Ganga water is sacred for Hindus, and those who visit Varanasi bring the Ganga river water in a brass vessel. Of late, when people bring back this in a plastic bottle. Number 6, Namas and Panchamahayajna. The recital of the Namas 5 times a day owes its origin to the Vedic injunction of Panchamahayajna, 5 daily worship Panchamahayajna, which is part of the daily Vedic ritual prescribed for all individuals. Number 7, Anga Suddhi, purification of the parts of the body. Muslims are enjoined the cleanliness of 5 parts of the body before commencing prayers. This derives from the Vedic injunction Shari Shuddhyartham Panjanganyasaha. Number 8, etymological similarities. Kaaba temple is from Kabali Sura Shiva. Vratas and month. The Muslim month Safar, signifying extra months Adhik Mas, is in the Hindu calendar. The Muslim month Rabi is the corrupt form of Ravi, meaning the sun, because Sanskrit V changes into Prakrit B. Prakrit being popular version of Sanskrit language. The Muslim sanctity of Garvahi Sharif is nothing but the Hindu Ekadasi, Gyara, 11, Gyara. Both are identical in meaning. 4 months of the year are regarded as very sacred to Islamic custom. The devout are enjoined to abstain from plunder and other evil deeds during that period. This originates in the Chaturmasa, the 4-month period of special vows and austerities in Hindu tradition. Shabibrat is the corrupt form of Shivabrat and Shivaratra. Since the Kaaba has been an important center of Shiva worship from times immemorial, the Shivaratri festival used to be celebrated there with gusto. It is that festival which is signified by the Islamic word Shabi Bharat. The Islamic term Eid al-Fitr derives from the Eid of Fitr, that is worship of the forefathers in Sanskrit term. In India, Hindus commemorate their ancestors during their Pitrupaksha, that is the fortnight reserved for their remembrance. The very same is the significance of Eid al-Fitr, worship of forefathers. The Islamic practice of observing the moonrise before deciding on celebrating the occasion derives from the Hindu custom of breaking fast on Shankaranti and Vinayak Chaturthi only after sighting the moon. Bhara Wafat, the Muslim festival for commemorating those then battle in the battle or by weapons, derives from a similar Sanskrit tradition because in Sanskrit, Pipaut is death. Hindus observe Chayal Chaturdasi in memory of those who have died in battle. The Islamic practice of Bakrid derives from the Gomed or Ashwamedh Yajnas of sacrifices of Vedic time. Eid in Sanskrit means worship. In Islamic word, Eid for festive days, signifying days of worship. It is therefore a pure Sanskrit word. The word Mesh in the Hindu zodiac signifies a lamb. Mesh, Mesha. Since in ancient times the year used to begin with the entry of the sun in Aries, the occasion was celebrated with mutton feasting. That is the origin of Bakrid festival. The word Bakrid is an Hindu language for goat. I shall podcast the Shiva Stuti by Prophet Muhammad's uncle in the forthcoming episodes.